Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Yvonne and you have landed on Ginger Chick Rehab, where I love to take pre-loved items and get them to be loved again. So here in the channel, I'm going to share the process with you, how I make items over, how I give them new life. And so in today's video, we are doing some furniture, some bigger pieces, and I'm going to share with you a high-end look. Can Chippy be high-end? Oh, I think that it can. So I'm going to start off this video with showing you how to paint one of these. Just that coat rack. Just an extra place to hang stuff. It doesn't necessarily always have to be coats by any means. You can hang whatever your heart desires on a piece like this. But I've actually had this piece longer than I'd like to admit, and I put it in my booth as is because it's in great shape. And there it sat, and it sat. And I moved it to a different booth and it sat. So it was in 3 different booths over, I don't even know, a year's time, and it sat. So it is time to paint it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this beautiful hardware removed, though maybe it's the hardware that was dating it. Maybe it was just a dated pieces and somebody wants a piece to be fun to hang something off of. So I guess paint it is. So these are neat little different hardwares. Usually it's just like a hook system, but it actually has like a little frame around it that's holding the hook in. I've never removed hardware like that before, so it's kind of interesting and kind of messy, as you see that I just dropped one. So now I need to go in and give this a scuff sand. I need to give my paint something to grab onto. So I just have 80 grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to scuff it into that finish. The flat parts, of course, are going to be easy, but I need to do the rounded areas to that beautiful detail. Now that I have it all sanded, I'm going to go ahead and clean it with some Dawn dish soap and some hot water and just give it a good wipe down. I want to give a new look to this hardware also, so I need to get that clean. Now those little porcelain knobs, they are on there permanently. I can't get those off, so they are there to stay. My thought process is, since the porcelain knob part, detail part, is white, I'm just going to start off painting these white, and then I'll come up with an idea of what to do together. My final finish didn't really like envision black, because if the black came off, you would see that white, and you know, I didn't really want to have to deal with that. So I thought, white, why not white? Why not? So I'm using the spray enamel paint, but it's in a flat white, so I'll be able to add a little bit more color to these because it's flat. Now if you get the glossy won't attach so well to a glossy finish, but to the matte it does. So yes, the gloss, the sheen really does matter if you still don't just want to leave these white and you want to take them to the next level by adding some more, probably patinas to them is what I'm going to do. So I thought it would be fun to do a bold color on that coat rack. So I'm going to do Sweet Pickins Basil, and we are going to hopefully achieve a chippy look. Now the thing with milk paint is you don't know. it's just whatever the item wants to do. So I didn't do anything other than sand and wash the item, so hopefully it doesn't completely like attach necessarily. I didn't use any primer or anything like that. I'm just going to be painting it with the Sweet Pickins milk paint. So if you have not used the milk paint before, it's equal parts powdered, equal parts water. You stir it for 2 minutes and then you set it off to the side and let it thicken up. But oh, is that color not amazing? Just straight basil. And yeah, some things are a little bit more awkward to paint than others. There's just not like a right position to paint this, but it is going to need 2 coats. That second coat will really grab onto that first coat and you really see that richness. So it is nice that chalk paint does dry pretty fast. You can always help it along with a heat gun if you want, blow dry or something to heat it up, but I just let it air dry on its own, and it's ready to be sanded. And I want this to be distressed. I want you to see that natural wood underneath. I love that look. I know it's not for everybody, but I love it, and it sells really well for me. So I just have some 220 sandpaper on my Orbital sander. I'm going to power sand as much as I can, saving my hand before having to use some sandpaper by hand and distressing the rest of the piece. To kind of control what comes off and what doesn't come off, I actually grabbed a piece of fine grit steel wool, especially since I can wrap it around those detail edges just a little bit better than I can that solid piece of hard paper sandpaper. I do want to make sure that I get every area sanded, if not with sandpaper and distressed, with at least the steel wool, because that's really going to affect your final look, because I'm going to be adding some colored wax to this, and if I don't get it sanded, the wax will take differently. Oh, I cannot wait to see what this is going to do. So I have some of Fusion's aging wax, which is such a unique, beautiful color. Like, it's not brown, it's not black. I keep calling it kind of a suit color, but look at how it just took that basil milk paint, that dry finish, and then just, oh my goodness, just took it to the next level. And then it adds a nice little sheen to the areas that are chipped off, and it shows some of that wood. Oh, it is just absolutely gorgeous. So I distressed my piece, so I want to be able to distress and give some age to these metal coat hangers. So I'm doing a mixture. So I'm just taking a fan brush. I had some Fusion's Coal Black and then some Fusion's Chocolate, and I'm just randomly dabbing it around the edges of this hardware. This isn't going to be the finished look. I just wanted some deeper colors underneath. One thing I always say when you're working on a project, just keep working on it till you love it. So I have a vision in my mind. I'm just trying to match it up to my vision. So now I'm taking some of the Waverly Antiquing Wax, and I'm pretty much just painting it all over these. And then I'm going to go ahead and let it dry. It's almost giving it an aged, rusty look. You can see the dark tones underneath. I just really wanted to add some dimension. Since the piece itself has dimension, I know I could have used Dixie Belle's patina paint, but sometimes it's just fun to play with things that you have in your stash. So now I'm going to go ahead. They're dry, but I want to seal them in. So I'm just using some Weather Defense to seal those in. But you can see that black and that brown that I sprayed underneath. They really have a lot of texture to that paint. Now just go ahead and get these reattached. It is a little hard because the frame, I mean, maybe if I was laying it down, but I'm not. My workbenches are full. So I just kind of had to work with it as it's being straight up. And yeah, the frame actually made it kind of like wonky trying to get it to be screwed back in. But you know, if there's a will of the way, the things that we do, if flipping pieces was easy, everybody would do it, right? Sometimes you just need to get that hardware on your piece, see what it looks like. I do love that the texture of this paint, but I do want to take it to the next level and add a little bit more rust patina to it. So I just have some of this gilding wax that you just brush on, and it is in that beautiful rust color, and I think that this is that final little step that it needed. Oh, it's going to be gorgeous, I think. Look at that on the edges. And yes, it will attach itself, it will stick, it will be permanent. Oh, it's a really cool product. It's just another way to, this was just another way to make some rusty, crusty goodness. Now this size of table is just nice. It's nice and useful in many spaces. Entry, sofa, pantry, wherever you need a little table. So this one is nice and sturdy, though it's just kind of blasé. It's just a nice hard maple, which is a very hard wood. So we're going to go ahead and start to get that top coat finish off of this so we can get this painted. So I do have some 80 grit sandpaper. We just need to get that scuff sanded and get that finish. You need to open up the wood so it accepts the new paint. That's why prep sanding or scuff sanding is very important. So when I was scuff sanding, I noticed that it had, I'm not even sure why, it has some must be part of the packing material, I guess, but I'm going to go ahead and pop these little staples and that little cardboard piece off. There's like 3 of them there. I don't know what it was or why it would have been there, but it does need to be removed. And though I'm not going to be painting the underneath, I don't see any reason why. It's in good condition. I am going to give it a nice vacuuming and a good cleaning while I'm cleaning the outside of the piece. But then I also need to remove these little felt pads, and they're always, oh my gosh, they are always on there. So I usually can get the felt removed, but the sticky seems to always be left behind. So I'll try to scrape as much of that off as I can, and then I'll hit it with the sander. I want to help my paint take evenly, even though I'm going to be distressing it. I'm just going to give it 1 coat of shellac, which is kind of like a primer but a porosity filler. So if I got unevenly sanded and I still have a little bit of top coat on there, it'll just help my paint take evenly. And I think just 1 coat on this piece will suffice. Now while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and mix up my paint. I'm going to be using the Sweet Pickins in the Pantry color. This is just a nice fun green, that nice vintage looking color. Oh my goodness, I just recently did a Lazy Susan and I fell in love with it. So I'm like, oh, I think this piece would be perfect to paint this. Oh, that is such a fun, bright color. Now I'm going to go on and I need to do a second coat. I'm not really seeing a ton of crackling, chippiness, paint chipping off, but you have to expect the unexpected and just take what you're giving. I know there's products that you can put underneath to help along, but I don't know. I kind of like, I just take what I'm given. There's just minute little spots, just small crackling and crazing here and there. So I'm pretty happy with that. You can tell where I got some chunks that didn't get mixed up. that happens, especially when I'm using a cup and it kind of sits in the bottom, but I don't know, I don't mind it. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take some 220 sandpaper just like I did on the coat rack, and I'm just going to run it along a step. I'm going to push a little heavier here and there on the edges where like normal wear would be. I really want to give some age to this piece. So sanding it, distressing it, gave it a lot of age. Now I'm going to take some more of that Fusion Aging Wax, and that's really going to just pop this pantry door color, and it's also going to get in anything that cracked, crazed, and it's really going to bring those little details right out. So I'm just going to put it on, and then I'm going to go ahead and wipe it right back off. Any of the excess, just working it into those detailed areas. Since I took those felt pads off, I'm just going to put some of these little glides on. I just buy a whole bunch in packs from Amazon, and it'll just be able to help the piece be moved around so you won't have wood on carpet, wood on floor. They're just a nice little extra that costs minimal, but just take your item to the next level by adding this little detail. And if you watch my Journey channel, you'll know what happened to the mirror in this piece. So it got some damage, and the more that I looked at it, the more I thought, you know what? I think this would be better, and it would sell better being painted. It's got that beautiful detail. Yeah, you can see where the droppage happened, and it cracked the wood. Yeah, you know, things happen in life that you don't plan on, but they just happen. But I do really think this piece would be better painted. And that's really not a drawer. It's one of those fake drawers, so it's like a cyc. So I don't really care for the hardware there. So I'm going to go ahead and get the hooks removed, and these hooks attach from the back, so that's kind of nice. This is a piece that definitely would be easier to work on if I can lift it up, so I just put some sawhorse up, a couple pieces of wood that you can tell I've used a lot, and I'm just going to lay it on its back because I want to be able to remove that fake handle. And then it does have some brass features on the feet of them that I'm going to remove also. I want to fill in the hole where the fake handle was and where the little brass on the feet was, and then repair the damage that was done that cracked. So I'm going to go ahead and just use some of the Bondo wood filler just because it dries fast. It's rock solid when it's dry, and it's really easy to sand within 10 minutes. Now where holes are filled, we've sanded, we've washed with Dawn dish soap, hot water. It is dry, but I need to even out the porosity. As you see, you can see natural wood, you can see stains still, and then you got where we put the wood filler. So that's a couple coats of shellac is just going to even out that porosity and help that my paint takes evenly. So to paint this one up, I'm going to be using some more of the Sweet Pickins milk paint. I'm loving the chippy aged look that it's giving the pieces, and this is an amazing blue color. I've really never been a blue fan, but I did this on a recent video where I painted a bowl and I fell absolutely in love with it. So, but I don't want it to be quite as deep. I want to lighten it up just a bit, so I'm just going to add a scoop of the flower sack color in there. The fun thing about milk paint is you can play with it and you can change its color just a little bit if you want to. Oh, it's so nice to see the sun here in Michigan. We went through quite a streak where we didn't have any sun, so that sunlight's not bothering me in the least. But I do need to go in and now do my second coat. And the little detail brush is helping get into what I think they consider this dental work kind of molding. But it's just a very nice feature. And then the little brush is helping to get that little detail that will go around the glass. So I do spy some amazing, look at that crackling, that crazing, and never fear, I do got some chippiness. Probably a little bit more than I was expecting, but remember, milk paint is just that type of paint. You just have to expect the unexpected. Sometimes it'll happen, sometimes it won't. So I'm going to go ahead and start to sand this. Same thing, 220 sandpaper, and whatever comes off, comes off. And as I'm sanding and I watch it distress and I watch the natural come through and then it go all the way down to the more than just the natural, I just keep telling myself, trust the process, trust the process. It will be fine. Even I get a little bit nervous when I'm using milk paint because you don't know how much or how little is going to come off. And then I'm just like, oh, look at how much came off there, but it'll be fine. Just keep working with it until it's nice and smooth, and then hit those detailed edges. Yeah, I know that it would be very easy to be like, oh my goodness, did you see that? Oh, I need to add more paint to that because too much came off. No, just let it be what it's going to be. The whole point of me using milk paint is because I want it to be chippy. I want it to chip off. I want it to look like this has been around for quite a few years. It has weathered, it has been used and well loved, and that's the look that I'm going for. And I always know, I know it's not for everybody, and some people like pristine. But, you know, eventually things are going to get beat up, so why not just start that way? I am so blessed to have a workshop where I can work on multiple pieces like this, and also that I can use an air compressor and just blow sanding dust all over the place and sweep it up later. So milk paint needs to be sealed in one way or the other. So whatever you choose to seal it in with it is your choice. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with some of Fusion's aging wax again. I'm liking how it is given the other pieces a great aged look, so why not go ahead. And then if I need to lighten it up and it just went too dark and made it too dark, I can have my clear wax, which I call like an eraser, on hand to lighten it up. But I think that the aging wax will be just fine on this piece. It looks beautiful. So the bottom of this haul tree doesn't have any of those little slides on it either, so I'm going to go ahead and add a couple, well, 4 of them to this piece. So even though they're not large, they still will do the job. Now I have a couple absolutely gorgeous older mirrors that need some loving. Oh, this arched one is just beautiful. It's got some brokenness, but that's its character. And as big as that arched one is, this one is a beast. Holy cow, with a wooden frame, a beautiful beveled mirror. Yes, this one has some character marks also, and this one is so super heavy. That is why I'm calling it a beast, not an easy thing to move around. And I have yet, in the 4 years, I just started my 4th year of having a retail booth, ever been able to sell a gold mirror. So for all of that who think I should have kept this the same, I'm not bringing it to the booth and then it just sitting there and then having to bring it back home to paint it. So I really just wanted to be able to slip some paper underneath, you know, like the little playing card trick. But not every spot was like, nope, you're not getting any more in there. That's just how it's going to be, especially when it comes to an older piece like this. You just have to work with what it's going to let you do. So tape it is, masking tape it is. I'm going to try to get as close to those edges as I possibly can. So hopefully my cleanup at the end of painting this piece is minimal. Usually not, but it sounds good. after getting them all taped off, and I know the paper might seem a little extreme, but you're constantly, when I'm videoing, you're seeing the reflection of everything in there. So for videoing, it's just easier to tape the whole thing and paper the whole thing off. So getting these cleaned up with some Dawn dish soap and some hot water. So this one is super shiny. It has quite a lacquer on there. So I'm going to go ahead and do Dixie Belle Slick Stick. So this is a product that you have to kind of pre-thought of what you're going to be painting because it's so super shiny. I need something to help my paint to stick. And with all that detailed areas, it's kind of hard to sand. So Slick Stick is a nice product because you end up putting 2 coats on and then letting it sit overnight. 12-24 hours is suggested to let it cure and bond with the item, and then you can move on to painting it. So it's not something that you just put on and let dry. You need to let it have a little bit of cure time. And you've also seen me use Fusion's Ultra Grip, but I chose this one because it is white and I want to paint the mirror white, so I thought that would be a good primer color for underneath it. Now the Ultra Grip dries clear, so it's just a little bit different in the product, but they both kind of do the same concept. I still want to achieve a chippy, crackled finish, so I'm going to be still using Sweet Pickins milk paint in the flour sack, which is my ultimately favorite white color. So same mixture and then same way to apply it, though on the larger mirror there's a lot of details. So it's not as if you're going to be able to see that I'm painting white over white. I did go for a little bit heavier of a brush just because of the details areas where it's just going to kind of pool in there. You know, you kind of have to do a dabbing technique to get it all into those areas. When it came to this one, I know there was brokenness. I'm not going to try to match it up. I think it's just character, and once we paint it, you're not even really going to notice it. Well, hello, beautiful cracking and crazing and chippiness all in one. It is gorgeous. Now, I don't just want to wax or sand this piece because I'm afraid that I would just take it all off. So to help keep some of it on, I'm going to go ahead and seal it in with a coat of Weather Defense Clear Coat Spray. So totally different texture on the next one, but same effect. Look at that. It got 2 coats of paint, one on top of the other. I let it dry overnight. This is what it looks like. This one has some large crackling crazing on it. And so the same thing, I don't want to just like wax it all off. So the clear coat is just going to help try to seal and glue some of it in place. Yes, your eye used to be attracted to that brokenness, and now it's all just kind of blended in. You don't really even notice it. So I'm going to go in with some more of that aging wax. That's going to get into all those little crevices and all that little cracking. And I don't want it to take very dark in this piece, so I will go back in with some of the natural clear wax by Homestead and wipe off the excess. I just really want it to sit in those crevices. Now, if I didn't seal this in with a clear coat before applying the wax, this would have changed the white paint to more of a cream. So all depends on what the look you're going for. So wipe on and then wipe a little bit more on of the natural wax, and then I'll wipe off the excess and really get it rubbed in there. And as you can see, there was no need to sand it or chip away the paint. Just the waxing was going to remove anything that was loose. So even on the big one, I wasn't going through and trying to chip anything off. Just the motion of waxing with the brush and wiping off the wax with the rag, anything that's really not attached is going to come off. So this may be a little bit of a messy process. So I need to get around the detailed edges where I really got the tape. Some of the tape is still on there. It has been painted on. So I want to make sure that I get as much and as close to the detailed areas to get the paint off the mirror itself. You don't really want to have that messy paint line if you can help it. And it's probably going to chip some of the paint off, but it's the chippy age look that we are going for. So I find that it's easiest if I just take a vacuum and suck up what I just scraped off and any of the chippiness that happened from the motion of waxing before getting the mirror cleaned up. And I'm really a fan of Norwex cloths. Do y'all use Norwex cloths? So just a wet environmental cloth and the glass cloth that makes it nice and clean and not many streaks whatsoever, but these are older mirrors, so they have their own personalities. Now you'd think I would be done with these pieces, but just like adding the little glides to the pieces of furniture, I want to change out this wire. I think it has been stretched to the where if you hung it, it actually hangs above the mirror. So I'm just going to clip that off. I think that the hooks on here are perfect. I'm just going to add some new 17 gauge wire, which is nice and strong. And then just twist it enough that it's, because this mirror is heavy. These older mirrors with all this wood and the wood backing on it, they're just plain heavy. So it needs something nice and secure to be able to hold its weight. So now for this beast of a mirror, it doesn't have any eyelet hooks on it. What was on it would there again go above what the mirror would be, and I really like to hide your wire behind. So I have some eyelet hooks that I buy from Amazon, and then I just don't think the screws are long enough. And then I think when I picked out those black ones were too long, they would go through. So I had to find some that were shorter that weren't going to go through the front. So I just want to reinforce my hanging system with some deeper, longer, stronger screws. And I feel like you could hang this mirror two different ways. So I went in ahead and I added wire, so the wire is already on there. So whoever buys it, it is ready to be hung. Either way you choose. So thank you so much for watching today's video, and what did you think? Did I give these pieces a high-end, old world look? Oh, I am absolutely in love. If I had any room in my house, I have a buddy here that I might as well just grab him. So did I give these pieces a high-end look right from starting with just a coat rack hook, giving it the hardware a new unique look, to giving that basil color was just absolutely amazing. And chippy, yeah, there's something about chippy that is a high-end look. I absolutely love it. And then we have a cute little table, and there again, taking a new piece and making it look well loved, and it can be useful. I have it set up as a little potting table, but you definitely can use it as an entryway decor piece Then we have the beautiful hall tree in that ocean color. Oh my goodness, since I did that on that bowl, when I did some primitive wooden bowls, it was just amazing, and I fell absolutely in love with it. And then mirrors, yes. Mirrors, mirror on the wall. Chippy white mirrors that look like they have been chippy sell really well for me. So, okay, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, especially when they are that size. Oh, they are large. So they're absolutely gorgeous, and I know you have to always trust. You want to see his cute little face? You always have to trust the process, because it is scary when you see all that crackling going on. You're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be just a hot mess. And then you start sanding it, and you're like, oh, so much more is coming off. What do I do? You just have to trust the process, and what comes off with milk paint comes off. And once you get it waxed and it's finished, it all looks absolutely gorgeous. Even right down to the mirrors. You don't even know what part of the mirror is going to accidentally chip off or what's going to stay. So this is my new cat, Tater, who is a cuddle bug, and this happy died in from the shop. So I hope you all can hear me, because I think he's on my mic. So thanks again for watching today's video, and as always, if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. And if you're new and you're checking out the channel for the first time, and you like what you saw, and you love to go thrifting, you love to look for treasures out in the wild, please smash that subscription button along with the notification bell so you don't miss uploaded a new video. And we will see you next time, guys, and you can see what we're up to. Bye!